On ABC Local Radio, right around the traps tonight, in fact. I'm Melanie Tate, and my guest is Greg Andrew from the Elton John Experience. And we're talking about the life and music of Elton John. We've just heard his one of his most beautiful breakthrough songs. And Greg, I'd love to know. So he wrote for years with Bernie. Do you say Taupin or
Yeah,
Taupin?
yeah,
Taupin.
Bernie Taupin. Yeah.
Taupin. What happened to their what kind of songs did they write together first?
Well, all the songs that are what you'd call quintessential Elton, and even to this day, they still have a wonderful, wonderful partnership. And it's a unique writing partnership because Bernie Taupin writes the lyrics, and once the lyrics are done, he sends them to Elton, who wrote the music. And one of the most unusual things about that is that they never offer each other any advice on what to do on each other's part. So, for example, Bernie doesn't say, "Oh, these lyrics need to be a ballad or a faster song," and
That's interesting, isn't
yeah.
it?
And Elton doesn't say, "Oh, give me some lyrics because I want to write a faster song." Um, they are both separate at what they do. And the other amazing thing in a songwriting point of view is that they don't converse. So they do it in totally separate rooms. They're never in the same room to do a song to come up with the end product.
Wow.
So, so Elton, his ability to put words to music is incredible because he doesn't have much. He always gives Bernie the rightful credit to a lot. He goes, without Bernie Taupin, there is no Elton John, because the words always come first. And so Bernie's always given the words, the great lyrics, and Elton has this amazing ability to write the music around those lyrics.
I see. I had always thought that they had a big falling out, which is why Elton John worked with Tim Rice on Lion King. But maybe it was Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice that had the falling out, and not
Yeah. Look, I'm sure
because people fall out with Elton, don't they?
they do, and for different reasons. In different periods, it's well documented in his life. Late 70s, early 80s, coming through. He was quite on with what he was taking, and living the indulgences of what he was doing. But the partnership is still strong today, and he's really like Elton's brother, Bernie Taupin. But yes, he's had falling outs, but he had different periods of his life where, coming up with the Lion King and having the opportunity of writing for the different musicals, Billy Elliot, and all these things opened another direction for Elton that Bernie was happy for him to go. But the main core songwriting has always been with Bernie Taupin.
Well, let's hear Tiny Dancer, shall we?
Blue jean baby, LA lady.
My guest is Greg Andrew. We're talking about Elton John. Elton John. I can't remember, Greg, whether Elton John was the first concert I saw or the second. It was either I saw Phil Collins and Elton John very much around the same time when I was a
Wow.
little girl, which always kind of makes me laugh because I love like any soppy music, and I think that's why. But interestingly, I can still remember I must have been 9 or 10 or something like that, and I went with some people who were mad Elton John fans, mad. They were my neighbours down the street, and they took me along. And one of the man that, had taken me to this concert, he said that, oh yeah, the concert was great, but he was much better when he was a drunk, which I still can't believe that somebody would say out loud. And I don't know, what has sobriety done for Elton John?
Well, he quite publicly says that he owes a lot to some people coming out, drying out from the alcohol, the drugs, all that sort of stuff, because he quite publicly says he cherishes every day. It's allowed him to have children, have a wonderful relationship, and he could quite easily. It's a miracle that he's still alive. He quite publicly says that. So I think he's so appreciative of where he's very grateful to his fans at the support he's had over a long, long period of time. and I think I think he's actually performing and playing. When I saw him last year, it was a fantastic concert. He actually performed, played incredibly well.
Oh, great. So where that was my final question was going to be to you. Where do you think he is at musically now as he's sort of, I mean, he'd have to be, what, in his late 60s, 70s now?
Yeah, he'll be 70 next March.
Right. Yeah, where do you think he's at musically?
Well, look, when you say musically, I think a lot of people, the 70s was an incredible era of how productive he and Bernie Taupin were with the music. When anyone listens to an Elton John song on the radio, mainly, it's a 1970s recording of that original song. Mm-hmm. Now, his voice has changed. He's got older. Probably his voice had been, the highs in the voice have deteriorated over time. That could have been, he's quite publicly said that through alcohol and different abuses, that played havoc. He had nodules on the vocal cords as well. There was a period there in the 90s where he didn't sing at all. To repair his vocal side of things. But yes, I think really as a performer, he's getting, in my opinion, I looking at his live shows, what they're incorporating now, and the quality of his band, it's still a wonderful, wonderful performance from a guy who's been there and done that, and he's not what I call on a gravy train, like where, no disrespect, I suppose, to a lot of other artists, but we've all seen different artists come back, or they had hits at one time, they come back and they do a world tour, and they're not a patch on what they were. People are paying exorbitant amounts of money to see these people. But Elton delivers to his fans, I think, in both for the concert, for the duration of the concert, so how long his concerts, going on 70 years of age, and still he's putting in 2.5-hour shows, non-stop. So he's delivering still on what the people want. I think it gets down to the personal point of view that some people have a lot, through the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album and a lot of those wonderful songs from the 70s, which are his main hits. He's had some wonderful hits all through the decades, 80s, 90s, even into 2000s. And even in his last CD release, that, it won't be that popular with people, but there's some great songs on there.
Well, Greg, it's been just great chatting with you tonight about Elton and his life, and I hope that the rest of you're in Tasmania now tomorrow night. But I looked at your website, you're booked right up until September next year, all over the world.
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky where I'm privileged to be able to play this wonderful music and get bookings all over the world that people want me to do. So, it's a wonderful, wonderful job, I suppose you say.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. It's been great chatting.
Wonderful, Mel. Thank you very much.